In the next hour, we have Lane Johnson on the show. Patrick Queen joining us as well. And look who it is, Will Silva, long time no see. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, my friends? Everybody looks like tan, rested. Good to be back. I see that robot is also over the shoulder of Nate. So all is well. I'm just trying to stay cool here on the West Coast, which is hard to do, my friends, as we know. Exactly. Well, there is news to try to get to right now over the last week or so. One thing that we have learned is that Aaron Rodgers has been working on his golf game and has looked pretty good doing it. Now, what we don't know is if or when he'll be showing up to Packers training camp. Now, after going toe-to-toe with Tom Brady in the matchup, Rodgers played in the American Century Championship, where he told NBC Sports that after the tournament, he was going to get back to working out and, quote, figure things out in a couple of weeks. Packers set to open training camp on July 27th. In other news, free agent linebacker Anthony Chickillo announced on Instagram that he is retiring after 6 seasons in the NFL. Chickillo played 5 seasons for the Steelers before spending the 2020 campaign with the Broncos, where he played in 11 games. Now, the Saints will have quarterback competition in training camp for the first time in, 16 years. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill will battle it out to replace the future Hall of Famer Drew Brees. Head coach Sean Payton recently joining NFL Total Access and says, obviously, Brees set a high standard for the two QBs to learn from.
Yeah, I do think this. I think both of the players we're talking about have had the benefit of training, being in meeting rooms with him and seeing, the daily grind. And I think we go from there. Obviously, there's a high bar for our team, and so I wouldn't even say just offensively or defensively. But and I think both of those guys will rise to the challenge. They both understand the importance of the reps that we're going to have in this upcoming training camp, and there is a little bit of a standard, and it's kind of high, and so that's okay.
Yeah, no pressure, right? He only holds multiple NFL records. And coincidentally, Kay and guys, 9 years ago on this particular day that we are broadcasting on, Drew Brees had signed a 5-year, $100 million deal. So big shoes to fill there in New Orleans.
You got those NFL Network researchers up at midnight out there on the West Coast. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pulled by you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Selva bringing his A-game here on a Monday. Let's talk about this a little bit, Aditi. We heard the reactions. It's sort of an obvious statement. Of course, there's tons of pressure. Sean Payton's your coach. You're following the big shoes of Drew Brees, who you got to sit and watch for a year. What do you make of Sean Payton's comments?
When you sit here and you hear him talk about learning from Drew Brees, I think he's really talking more about Jameis Winston. And this is the idea that there's a new environment, there's a new team, there's sort of a fresh start, and Jameis Winston gets to remake himself after learning at the knee of Drew Brees. And here's where I think that Taysom Hill is such a spectacular, unpredictable talent. You can do so many things with Taysom Hill when he's not your traditional standard quarterback. So I really like Hill having a role with this team as he has, and Jameis Winston being your traditional quarterback. And I'll also say that I think both of them ease some of that pressure that you speak of, because both of them have less of that pressure because the defense is easing the pressure. This Saints defense is really, really, really good. And if the Saints need to ride that defense early, then you can maybe get a little more time to get whoever your quarterback is, to get whatever that offense looks like, to be what it wants to be, because that defense, I think, will bail you out a little bit.
No doubt the standards are high, and that's a great thing. There are certain teams in the NFL that struggle to set a standard year in and year out, and there are other teams that are the standard year in and year out. The New Orleans Saints are the standard. Their high expectations are synonymous with the Saints, just like the city of New Orleans is. And as long as they have Sean Payton as a head coach and a few core players and then talented surrounded pieces, There is no such thing as a rebuild in New Orleans. So because of that, we expect these guys to have another good year and be in the playoffs and have a shot to win a Super Bowl. You're talking 4 consecutive seasons with 11-plus wins. I mean, there aren't too many teams that can hang their hat on that. 7 division titles under Sean Payton. There aren't too many coaches that can say that. So because of that, regardless if it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill or a combination of the two, these guys will have a standard that they need to meet, or else they will be sitting on the bench or playing somewhere else.
It's so well said. And then Nate, from like a personal perspective for Jameis, the pressure is almost like twofold. Like it's a lot. You've got the Saints fans, legacy, all of that, but you're not going to Detroit where they're putting a bunch of pieces together into first-year head coach. Like if you cannot win with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, the defense that Didi just talked about, and a Super Bowl winning head coach that everybody, says is one of the best play callers in the game, where can you win? You're playing for your future here. And I would say, Shriggs, we're talking pressure. It's so funny to watch Sean Payton talk about that. Like he's under so much pressure. You had Drew Brees pretty much your entire career there in New Orleans. What can you do with Jameis, who you sat and watched for a year and you decided this is the guy?
Yeah, and yet he's so cool. I mean, they're in Tahoe. I feel like we need to have a Tahoe bureau of the NFL Network for this golf tournament. The entire NFL was there this past weekend, and he's talking and he's honest. But to me, it's not just Breeze, and that's one deal. They lost so many players this offseason because of their salary cap issues. They lose their number 2 wide receiver. They lose their best pass rusher off the edge last year in Hendrickson. Cook was a reliable player. NFC divisional round fumble aside, he was a really good Saints player. Rankins inside, the Jets are thrilled about. And then the Jackrabbit at corner was still a starting corner in the league. So these are just a few of their notable losses. I think it's going to be an interesting year, and this could be what you're saying, Kay. This could be Sean Payton's greatest test. He's already got a Super Bowl. He's already a Hall of Fame coach in my eyes. This could be a really cool challenge. Could also be an up and down season for New Orleans if Jameis isn't the guy.
And he's got Tom Brady to deal with twice this season. Okay, more good.